we are finally on page 2, and on the very top we have number 3, company history. Now please be mindful because this section only takes a very small portion of the page, so it is very easy for us to bypass this section. So here we would like to know the date business started. However, we do not need the specific date. As long as we have the month and the year, then we'll be good to go. To the right, we have prior bankruptcies. Now, please select no if there hasn't been any bankruptcies, but if there has been, then please select yes. And if there has been, then please indicate whether the bankruptcy involved the business or the owner. Number 4, owners, partners, and officers. Here, we would like to have the personal information of the owner or the partner or the officer of this business. In the event that this is a sole ownership, we would like to have the information filled out on the left-hand side under owner, partner, and officer number 1. However, if the business is a partnership or if there are several owners, then please use both sides. We would like to have the name of the owner, the percentage of ownership this person has, this person's title, as well as the home address, including city, state, zip code, and the country. We would also like to have the telephone number of this owner, as well as his or her social security number, date of birth, driver's license number, and the state of the driver's license. Please note that the driver's license number is not required. Number 5, settlement information. This is the information of the bank account this business uses. This is the account to which the funds will be deposited. For instance, if the merchant processes $100, then the next day or the day after, that $100 will be deposited to the specified bank account. Next to deposit bank, please provide us with the name of the bank, whether it be Chase, Bank of America, or Wells Fargo. Next to bank contact, please give us the name of the contact from that bank. Transit/ABA number means the routing number, which can be found on the check or the voided check, and deposit account number is the account number or the DDA number, which can also be found on the voided check of the business bank account. Last but not least, we have the ACH detail flag. Here we select whether it's going to be an individual, combined, or separate deposit. This means that, for instance, if a merchant runs a $100 transaction and at the same time runs a $50 refund, and if the account is set up for individual, then the deposit will be made for $100 and a separate withdrawal will be made for $50. However, if it is combined, then the batch or the deposit that will be made from First Data to the merchant will be $100 minus $50, which would be $50. However, by default, a combined would be selected unless otherwise specified by you or by your merchant. We're still on page 2 on the middle sections. Number 6, equipment/third-party information, and number 7, grid information. These sections are for internal use only, or office use only. Hence, you as a sales agent do not need to complete these sections, because the admin staff can complete these sections on your behalf. So under number 6, equipment/third-party information, we would like to specify the network under which this merchant would like to process credit cards. Now, First Data has multiple platforms reserved for different types of merchants. It could be Omaha, North, Nashville, or Bypass, and most of the time we work with Omaha platform. Do you use any third party to store, process, or transmit cardholder data? In other words, does your merchant use a third-party software or gateway or terminal to process credit cards? If yes, please select yes and identify that processor underneath. If yes, then the merchant can simply identify the third-party processor. Here we see Yahoo, Authorized.net, CyberSource, Verifone, and many other third-party vendors that merchants frequently use to process credit cards, among which Authorized.net may be the most dominant company. Or if the merchant is using an internet gateway, then please specify. Here we have First Data's own global gateway. Or select Other if the merchant is using gateways such as Authorized.net, USA ePay, or e-processing network. Underneath, we have wireless network, PC/internet software, terminal model, printer model, or the PIN pad. In other words, how would you like to process your business transactions? Would you like to use a gateway? Would you like to use a terminal? Or would you like to use a POS? And please specify the quantity and whether they are new, or rented, or leased, or if the merchant has already owned the software or programs. Underneath, we have Lease Company, First Data Global Leasing. Here, in the event that you are leasing a terminal to your merchant, then please specify the lease term, in other words, the months or the number of months of the lease, and please specify the amount of the per monthly fee next to total monthly lease charge. Number 7, grid information, internal use only. As specified, this is office use only. This section is used by the admin staff to specify the fee structure of this particular MPA. And among these third-party processors, Authorized.net might be the most prominent firm. Internet gateway. The merchant may utilize a gateway and use their computer to process credit cards over the internet. First Data has its own proprietary gateway called First Data Global Gateway. However, there may be third-party processors such as Authorized.net, USA ePay, or e-processing network. If so, and if the merchant is using any of these third-party vendors, please select Other and specify these vendors. We are on the bottom sections of page 2, number 8, transaction information. Here, we would like to know the financial data of this particular merchant. Number 1 is gross yearly sales volume, which includes cash, credit cards, debit cards, and checks. Here, we would like to have the year's total sales volume. And number 2, we have average yearly MasterCard/Visa volume. Here, we would only like to know the total volume of MasterCard and Visa sales. Number 3, average yearly American Express volume. Here, we would like to know the total amount of Amex sales. Number 4, average yearly Discover volume. Here, we would like to know the Discover annual volume. And then to the right, we have average MasterCard Visa Discover Network ticket. In other words, the average sales amount for MasterCard, Visa, and Discover. Underneath, we would like to have the average ticket amount for American Express, and we would also like to have the very highest ticket amount of all the sales, including MasterCard, Visa, Discover, and Amex. On the bottom, we have seasonal. In other words, does this business open year-round, or are there any months that this business does not do any business? For instance, a tax or income tax analysts or services. If so, please select yes, but if the business does run year-round, then please select no. And then to the very right, we have where is sales transacted. Here we would like to know the percentage of the transactions that are actually swiped, in other words, face-to-face or card present, the percentage of sales that are done over the internet, and the percentage of sales that are done over the moto vehicle, in other words, through the mail or through the telephone. And please make sure that the percentages add up to 100%. On the very bottom of page 2, we have number 9, service fee schedule. Here, as you can see, accepts all MasterCard, Visa, Discover Network, and American Express transactions, in parentheses, presumed unless any selections below are checked. In other words, if you check any of these boxes, it indicates to us or to first data that the merchant is not willing to take that particular transaction. So for instance, if the merchant selects MC credit transactions, that means to first data that the merchant is not going to accept MasterCard credit card transactions. Hence, it is important that these fields are left unchecked. Lastly, we have the discount collected. In other words, when will the fees be collected from the merchant? Will the fees be collected on a daily basis, or will the fees be collected at the end of the month? And to the right lower hand corner, we have the merchant initials. And this section can actually be found on page 1, 2, and 3. Please make sure that your merchant puts his or her initials in this section on all the pages.